Part 57. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 561. Zhang Xiaoyu's fiancé is called Li Jun, a brother from the big courtyard. The two were childhood sweethearts, and their relationship and marriage naturally came naturally. However, Li Jun later relied on the superiority of his brother from the big courtyard. When he visited Zhang Xiaoyu, he and other art troops together with the female soldiers, they made mistakes that men should make, and were immediately beaten up by the grumpy Zhang Yun, and then sent to labor reform for hooliganism. The marriage was naturally cancelled. The Li family was not convinced and dug up the past story of Zhang Xiaoyu's punishment. The two families became enemies, which also affected Zhang Xiaoyu's marriage. People with a similar status to the Zhang family are not willing to make enemies with the Li family for marrying Zhang Xiaoyu, but they are also concerned about Zhang Xiaoyu's past correspondence with Li Jun and was punished. However, sons with lower status or the same status are dandies. Although his son's family is willing to marry Zhang Xiaoyu, not to mention Zhang Xiaoyu, even Zhang Yun looks down on those crooked melons and dates. Zhang Yun was an old revolutionary who fought in the north and south. He looked down on those children who were protected by their parents but refused to fight. He thought that Li Jun was better, so he let his daughter get along with him, but he didn't know that he had harmed his daughter. After such a waste of time, Zhang Xiaoyu reached the age of 20 and almost made her father, her brother, sister-in-law and nephew anxious. Wang Xinchen, who had just resumed work not long ago, acted as a matchmaker and introduced Lu Tianjun to Zhang Xiaoyu. Although Lu Tianjun's background is not very good, he is good-looking, capable, and has impeccable appearance and demeanor. He doesn't have to worry about his future at all. He is 100 times better than those dandy kids who have only a good background but are unwilling to make a fortune on their own. Zhang Yun was satisfied, Zhang Xiaoyu also liked it, and they had the same temperament as Lu Tianjun, so the two came together. The above is from Zhang Xiaoyu's memoirs. Even if they don't have children, Zhang Xiaoyu and Lu Tianjun will be happy all their lives. Feng Qingxiu is now starting to worry. If she changed the issue of Zhang Xiaoyu's punishment, will it affect her marriage with Lu Tianjun in the future? No matter, let's make good friends first. The big deal, she would personally act as a matchmaker for Lu Tianjun and just wait for Li Jun to make a mistake. Zhang Xiaoyu didn't know that at this moment, Feng Qingxiu had countless thoughts in her mind. When she heard Feng Qingxiu mention her nephew, she nodded with a smile and said, "In my family, the eldest child takes care of the younger ones. However, I am my sister-in-law. I was raised by one hand, but I am the same age as my eldest nephew. Her mother died in childbirth, so she grew up on her sister-in-law's milk, but her eldest nephew could only drink powdered milk." When she was very young, Zhang Xiaoyu vaguely remembered calling her sister-in-law mother. It was not until she was a few years older that she changed her name to sister-in-law under the guidance of her family. At that time, she cried and asked everyone to return her mother. Feng Qingxiu was slightly startled, remembering the childhood mentioned in Zhang Xiaoyu's memoirs, and hurriedly used Zibao to distract her. "It's very simple, just bring the Zibao to Zhang Xiaoyu. Zhang Xiaoyu has thick eyebrows and big eyes, and a heroic appearance, but she is clean and exudes a clean aura inside and outside. Although she is not a beauty, she is still favored by Zibao, and she throws herself into Zhang Xiaoyu's arms without any hesitation." "Wow! Zibao is so good." Zhang Xiaoyu hugged Zibao skillfully and kissed him on his left cheek. Zibao naturally turned his face and raised his right cheek. Zhang Xiaoyu was stunned, and kissed him quickly. When she saw him lowering his head, she kissed him on the forehead. Only then did the little guy sit contentedly in her arms and play with her two braids. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 562. When Lu Zhang was not in the camp, Zhang Xiaoyu often came to Feng Qingxiu, rushing for Zibao, and never came empty-handed. She has a bold personality and is generous with her actions. She is very popular in the art troupe. Sometimes she will bring Yang Fenying or Fang Ning with her, which shows that she has a certain ability in making friends. Her good friends are all of good character. After going back and forth, Feng Qingxiu and Yang Fenying became familiar with each other. They played for a while that day, and as soon as they left, Sang Hong and a soldier Feng Qingxiu didn't know came over to look for Feng Qingxiu. I don't know him, it's because I don't know his name, it's not that I haven't seen him before. He looks like he is in his 30s, but in fact he is definitely younger than 30. Who said the environment here is too bad? Everyone is covered with vicissitudes of life, and their faces are plateau red. Sister-in-law, Sang Hong said with a smile, this is our battalion commander Chiao Desheng, here to ask my sister-in-law for a favor. What does camp commander Chiao have to do with me? But it doesn't matter. Feng Qingxiu hurriedly asked them to sit down and made a bowl of malted milk for each of them. Xiao Sang, it's your business. Zibao's father is with me. I told you, I'll keep an eye on you in the future, don't worry. Sang Hong's eyes lit up. Wasn't his job just to ask Feng Qingxiu to find him a wife? Thank you sister-in-law, thank you sister-in-law for taking the trouble. Sang Hong was as happy as a child. It can be seen how important it is to them to have a wife. Feng Qingxiu asked Chiao Desheng what happened again. Chiao Desheng coughed twice and said sheepishly, I would like to ask my sister-in-law to be a matchmaker for me and introduce me to Comrade Fang Ning from the art troupe so that we can get to know each other. The incidents that happened a few days ago had many people dealt with seriously, but Chiao Desheng was worried that the letter he wrote to Fang Ning would be discovered. The timing was so coincidental. It was delivered the night before, but something happened early the next morning. Even though Fang Ning was cautious by nature, it was too late to destroy it. Fortunately, Fang Ning was safe and sound, but he still felt very guilty. In fact, he didn't write any love words at all in the letter. After all, Fang Ning didn't know who he was. He just told Fang Ning that he wanted to ask the leader of the army to introduce them to each other and asked for her permission. As long as she agreed, he would take action immediately. He wanted to ask someone to be a matchmaker according to the rules, but somehow he got excited and wrote the letter and gave it to Fang Ning. If something really happened, he would be entirely to blame. Death 1,000 times or 10,000 times would not be enough to make up for the wrong he had done. Nowadays, the protection between men and women is stricter than before. The army prohibits soldiers from approaching the residence and rehearsal place of the art troupe. Chiao Desheng cannot see Fang Ning, nor can he get close to Fang Ning. He only has regrets and apologies with nowhere to vent, so he has to come looking for Feng Qingxiu. She could at least use the opportunity of introducing them to apologize to Fang Ning and confess to her. Feng Qingxiu was the only person besides the person involved who knew the inside story. She thought of Chiao Desheng's death. Although she didn't know why he died, his courage to take responsibility showed that he was a man. I'll ask Fang Ning first. If she agrees, I'll introduce you to meet. Chiao Desheng didn't expect Feng Qingxiu to be so happy, so he nodded hurriedly and said, it should be, it should be. If Comrade Fang Ning doesn't agree, no one can force it. Thank you sister-in-law, thank you sister-in-law. It's chapter 10. There won't be any tonight. I'm asking for votes as usual. It's 8:30. Oh my god, there's no update there yet. Damn it, there are a lot of things to worry about today. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 563. Chiao Desheng and Sang Hong came with anxiety and left with satisfaction. Zibao immediately got up from the ground and followed them, but Feng Qingxiu grabbed the belt of his cotton trousers at the back of the collar. Zibao, where are you going? Play. Zibao innocently flashed his big black eyes and pulled his mother hard to continue walking out. He kept chanting, play, mom, play. Mom. Mom, play. Feng Qingxiu stood still. Look, it's getting dark and very cold. How about we play at home? No. No, Zibao shook his head like a rattle, grabbed Feng Qingxiu's hand and pulled hard. Even though he may be small, he has grown fat from eating well, and his hands are really strong. Feng Qingxiu said with a straight face, Lu Zibao. If you want to go out, you can go out by yourself. If you are blown away by the strong wind, you will never see your father and mother again. Now, let go, and mother will cook at home and cook well. No food for Zibao. Seeing that Feng Qingxiu was angry, Zibao stood still, raised his face, and burst into tears. Play. Play. Mom, play. Tears welled up on his pale face. Then, he sat down on the ground, leaned forward, patted the ground with his little hands, cried loudly, and was out of breath. Play. Play. Mom, play. Play. Feng Qingxiu closed the door behind her back, let him cry on the ground, and went straight to cooking. They say they cook, but in fact they mainly do it for Zibao. She always ate less in the evening, and Lu Zhang was not at home, so she simply made a bowl of malted milk and ate some fruit and she got through it. Zibao was too fat. She was afraid that Zibao would accumulate food, so she made fruit puree for him. Carrying Zibao on her back, she took out 2 bananas from the space and was about to crush them into puree. Suddenly she heard Ye Zhenjun's voice coming from outside the door. Why is Zibao crying? You can hear it from 3 miles away. Feng Qingxiu quickly put the banana back into space and went over to open the door. Commander Ye and Chief of Staff Su, why are you two here free? Feng Qingxiu asked with a smile after seeing the people clearly, and asked them sideways to come in. It's starting to get cold outside, so the 2 comrades are sitting in the room. Chief of Staff Su Jin waved his hand, but Ye Zhenjun walked in. He put the lunch box he brought on the desk, put his hand under Zibao's armpit, turned him over and held him in his arms. Zibao, why are you crying? Tell Grandpa who bullied you. Zibao's face was covered with tears and dust. His little fat finger pointed at Feng Qingxiu, sobbing and saying, Mom. Mom. Ye Zhenjun smiled and said, Did Mom hit you? The little guy actually nodded. Yeah, the voice was particularly loud. Shit. If it weren't for Ye Zhenjun and Su Jin, Feng Qingxiu would have cursed. Comrade Qingxiu, Zibao is so cute, why are you hitting him? You are not allowed to hit children, Su Jin said. The wind outside blowing into the house was like blowing into Feng Qingxiu's heart, chilling her to the bone. I didn't hit him. Chief of Staff Su Feng Qingxiu couldn't help but defend herself. She had never liked stick education. The child was her thorn in the side, so wouldn't hitting the child hit her heart? Comrades Sang Hong and Xiao Desheng came here just now. He wanted to go out to play with him, but I refused to let him go, so he rolled on the ground. Ye Zhenjun smiled and said, Isn't it normal for a child to want to go out to play? I'll take him there. Feng Qingxiu hurriedly said, Comrade Commander, we can't spoil him. How can we just let him do whatever he wants? Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 564. Ye Zhenjun ignored her and asked Zibao directly, Zibao, do you want to go out to play? Yeah, the little guy nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. Grandpa, let's play. Then Grandpa will take you out, okay? Okay, he answered crisply and loudly, pointing to the door and urging Ye Zhenjun, play, play. Ye Zhenjun said to Feng Qingxiu, okay, Comrade Qingxiu, I will take Zbao away and deliver it to you intact later. Don't worry. Bring Zbao's hat, scarf, and gloves. Feng Qingxiu was extremely helpless. Do old people like to spoil children? He cannot be beaten or scolded. After putting on Zbao's hat, scarf, and gloves, Feng Qingxiu took the opportunity to wipe his face and dust him off, and Feng Qingxiu slapped his butt angrily. The little guy reacted so quickly that he stretched out his hand to cover his butt. Even if he couldn't reach it, it didn't stop him from bravely complaining to Ye Zhenjun, "Spank my mother, spank my grandpa, spank my butt. Did mom beat you? Is mom bad?" After hearing Ye Zhenjun's question, the little guy stopped talking and secretly looked at Feng Qingxiu with his big eyes. Ye Zhenjun and Su Jin burst into laughter. This boy, with his eyes, actually knew that the word bad was not a good word. Then you say goodbye to mom. Grandpa will take you out to play and watch your uncles train. As soon as Ye Zhenjun finished speaking, Zbao waved to Feng Qingxiu, "Bye, mom, bye. Then kiss your mother." The only road in front of Feng Qingxiu was compromise. Zbao seemed to be afraid that if he got close to his mother, her mother would leave him alone and not let him go out to play. He puckered up and kissed the palm of his hand hard, then flew towards Feng Qingxiu. Ye Zhenjun and Su Jin were once again amused from ear to ear. "Oh, Comrade Qingxiu, free up your lunch box for me and I'll take it away." Ye Zhenjun thought of his lunch box before going out. "Comrade Commander, we too have nothing in need. You don't have to give me this or that next time. It's not for you to eat. It's for Zbao. You have no right to refuse." Feng Qingxiu had no choice but to pour the mutton soup from the lunch box into her own lunch box. Before she could wash it, she asked Su Jin to take the empty lunch box and said, "Comrade Qingxiu, you have a good rest at home. We will take Zbao away." "Bye." Zbao kept waving his little chubby hand without any nostalgia. Ye Zhenjun carried Zbao to the camp and received a warm welcome. The popularity far exceeded the performance of the cultural troupe. Zbao was extremely excited when he saw the soldiers running on the dirt road in the camp. During training, soldiers will carry weapons and ammunition and be fully armed to enhance their load-bearing capacity. It's not dark at all now, you can see clearly. "Gun! Gun!" Zbao was trembling all over, pointing at the large troops running past. Almost all of them were carrying guns. Ye Zhenjun said to him with a smile, "Yes, it is a gun. It is a soldier's gun. It is a gun used to protect the home and the country. Zbao, when you grow up, how about you come over and learn to use a gun from Grandpa?" "Okay," Zbao replied loudly, staring at the gun with his big eyes. Zhao Yang came from a distance and raised something in his hand. Zbao's sharp eyes saw it immediately and said excitedly, "Gun! Gun!" Pushing Ye Zhenjun's shoulder, urging him to walk towards Zhao Yang, "Grandpa, Grandpa, Grandpa, gun!" Ye Zhenjun turned around and saw the wooden gun in Zhao Yang's hand. Who made the gun? It's very realistic. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 565. Zhao Yang walked up to the two of them, handed the gun to the impatient Zbao, and answered Ye Zhenjun's question, "There are many talents in our army. I found a brother named Wang Dazwang who had studied carpentry for several years before joining the army. I asked him to carve this pistol when he had free time, and it was finally completed today. Comrade Commander, does it look like the Xiaomi rifle used during the anti-Japanese war?" Ye Zhenjun looked at it and said, "It looks very much like it. It's almost exactly the same. The handiwork is really good." "That's right, our soldiers are all good soldiers, and none of them have one or two unique skills." Zbao held the gun and was so happy that he almost flew into the sky. He slid down neatly from Ye Zhenjun's body, and clumsily held the gun and pointed it at the soldiers who continued to run. The posture of a small ball looked a bit stupid, but it was exactly the same as the soldiers practicing shooting, and he made a sound simulating a gunshot with his mouth. What a boy, so talented, Ye Zhenjun couldn't help but praise. Comrade Commander, why did you bring him out? It's very cold right now. Guo Xiuying said that Feng Qingxiu was very meticulous in taking care of her children, otherwise Zibao wouldn't be so fat after being here for so long. Ye Zhenjun couldn't help laughing and said, when I went there, the little guy was lying on the ground crying and wanted to go out to play. Zhao Yang understood it and laughed. As a child, who doesn't like to play outside? Especially for boys, it is natural to be naughty. When he was a child, he would go up trees to pick out birds and go down to rivers to catch fish. He was often beaten for this, but he still went his own way afterwards. Just as he was talking, he suddenly saw Han Ping walking over carrying a wild rabbit and another soldier Bai Lai. Where did the rabbit come from? Ye Zhenjun and Zhao Yang asked in unison. Han Ping and Bai Lai smiled and saluted. After they returned the salute, Han Ping replied, the cavalry company caught him. Didn't he go out for training on horseback in the afternoon? He happened to encounter this wild rabbit running around and caught it. Last time, Brigadier Lu gave me a bottle of medicated oil prepared by his sister-in-law. She also made me a pair of sheepskin knee pads and elbow pads. The medicated oil is really effective. Recently, my joint pain is not as severe as before. I asked the cavalry company for this rabbit to give my sister-in-law extra food. Good. You should repay your kindness with kindness, Ye Zhenjun praised. Han Ping and Bai Lai sent it to Feng Qingxiu together. Feng Qingxiu waved her hands desperately, how much can Zibao and I eat? Everyone has given so many things. This rabbit is hard-earned. You can eat it yourself. Sister-in-law, just take it and we'll keep it. How are we going to share it? No one can get a bite. After listening to Han Ping's words, Feng Qingxiu said, simple, ask the cooking class to cook soup for you, everyone can always drink it, right? Xiao Han, you have to participate in training and study every day, and you don't have much time all day long. It's a lot harder than us too. It's a bit delicious. Just keep it to yourself and don't worry about us. Even a pot of soup is not enough. Sister-in-law, please don't be polite to us. Han Ping hung the rabbit on the wall outside the door, then took out a dagger to skin it. He was worried that Feng Qingxiu would not have the courage. Skin the rabbit and peel off the intact rabbit skin. Sister-in-law, I'll take the rabbit skin away. I'll get it from Xiao Wang and then send it to you and Zibao to make a scarf for Zibao. After saying that, the two of them ran away in a hurry, leaving only a wild rabbit hanging on the wall that was covered in blood and instantly frozen by the cold air. I will update again at 10 o'clock and ask for votes. There are many people who subscribed but less than 1,000 people voted. I am also very embarrassed. Friendly recommendation, The Supreme Demonic Princess, Addicted to the Emperor's Pet, written by Chu Xian. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 566. The friendship between comrades is as important as Mount Tai. Feng Qingxiu felt that she deserved it, so she cleaned the wild rabbit and hung it outside to dry. She decided to wait until Lu Zhang came back and send it back to the cavalry company's cooking class, adding the northeastern-style dried meat she had brought. After making this decision, Feng Qingxiu felt relaxed. The top priority now was to complete Jiao Desheng's request. She carried Zibao to the rehearsal location of the art troupe early the next morning. Although she is a member of the military family and is not a member of the art troupe, she is a woman, and she brings a Zibao whom everyone loves. Even the leader Bai and the coach who is responsible for teaching the female soldiers of the art troupe to sing and dance can't help but reveal it to Zibao. Smile. Xiao Zibao held the wooden gun that he was unwilling to put down while sleeping, and sat down solemnly watching the female soldiers rehearse. Not to mention the chubby body, chubby face, and that little expression. Because of Bai Shui's actions and thoughts, Captain Bai felt quite guilty. He squatted in front of Zibao and said, "Xiao Zibao, can you stay here and watch the performances of your uncles and aunts every day?" Zibao groaned, his round eyes wide open, but he didn't agree as he promised Ye Zhenjun and the others. "Mom," Zibao shouted. Feng Qingxiu smiled and said, "You said thank you to the group leader, but I can't stay. I want to stay with my parents." Although he didn't understand what she meant, Zibao was very obedient and said obediently, "Thank you." As he spoke, he nodded his little head, as if he was very proud of his politeness. "How cute! Zibao is so cute, Comrade Qingxiu, you are so lucky." Captain Bai was extremely envious in her heart. She likes children, especially cute children. Unfortunately, she is neither a human nor a ghost, so she dare not give birth to a child. She didn't want what she had done to bring shame to her children in the future. Feng Qingxiu said modestly, "The child is young, so don't praise him like that." "I'm not bragging, I'm telling the truth," Captain Bai said as if he was careless. "Now, I just hope that Bai Shui can live a peaceful life and have a child, even if it's not 1/10 as cute as Zibao, I'm also happy for her." After something like that happened in the group a few days ago, Bai Shui's temperament is much calmer and she no longer thinks about irrelevant things. Here, she was the only relative of Bai Shui, and Bai Shui would come to her immediately when something happened, so she knew some of the confrontations between Feng Qingxiu and Bai Shui, and was secretly grateful that Feng Qingxiu's toughness had made Bai Shui docile. To be honest, Captain Bai was very grateful to Feng Qingxiu for hitting Bai Shui on the head. Even if he didn't wake her up but just scared her, it would still be enough for Bai Shui to be honest. Bai Shui joined the art troupe when she was 16 or 17 years old. She had always been influenced by her parents, brother, and sister-in-law. When she joined the troupe, her personality and ideas were all formed. No matter how much the leader Bai taught, she could not change it. Such a character will definitely not have good results in the long run. The Su family is not a vegetarian. Bai Shui is different from Captain Bai. The more contact Captain Bai has, the clearer she is about her mistakes. She wants to correct them. Although she has no chance to change her ways, she has been working hard and never thought about replacing them. So the other party, his wife, did not come to settle accounts with her, but Bai Shui had a wishful thinking and wanted to replace Feng Qingxiu. Even if it was not Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu, it would be someone else in the future. Ignorance is the scariest thing. Now that she knew she was afraid, Captain Bai was relieved. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 567. After listening to Captain Bai's words, Feng Qingxiu glanced at Bai Shui, who was practicing, smiled slightly, and said, "Comrade Bai Shui is already married. Isn't it natural to have children? I believe Master Su will be very happy too." Captain Bai felt relieved and nodded, "That's natural, that's natural." After a while, the rehearsal of the female soldiers came to an end. Zhang Xiaoyu jumped up to Zibao and said, "Xiao Zibao, call me sister. Your sister and I are the youngest in the art troupe. We are of the same generation." Feng Qingxiu pursed her lips and smiled, "Yes, they are peers. When Zhang Xiaoyu marries Lu Tianjun, she will be Zibao's sister-in-law. Aren't the two uncles and sister-in-law the same generation?" "Sister Qingxiu." Zhang Xiaoyu stamped her foot, "You are so young, do you want me to call you Aunt Qingxiu? Then you ask Zibao to call you sister, do you want us to be of the same generation as mother and son?" Feng Qingxiu did not answer the question, and continued, "Besides, my eldest nephew is about the same age as you, so why don't you still call me aunt? There is no rule of seniority." Luan Yi. So, do you choose to call me sister, or do you choose to let Zibao call you sister? Zhang Xiaoyu frowned, and she was in trouble. She didn't want to call Feng Qingxiu her aunt, but she also wanted to ask Zibao to call her sister. Zibao, what did you call me? Zhang Xiaoyu squatted in front of Zibao, teasing him. Zibao opened his mouth and said, sister, sister, cake cake. When he saw Zhang Xiaoyu, he remembered the chicken cake Zhang Xiaoyu bought for him. Look, Zibao calls you sister. Come on, call me Aunt Shui, Feng Qingxiu said with a smile. Zhang Xiaoyu poked Zibao's fat face. Xiao Zibao, are you just demoting me? Yeah, the little guy actually nodded. Yang Fenying and Fangning, who were drinking water from military kettles nearby, said in unison, Xiaoyu, you asked for this. Zhang Xiaoyu stood up, rolled her eyes at them, snatched the water bottle from Yang Xiuying's hand, drank several gulps, wiped her mouth with the back of her hand. Don't worry, Zibao has demoted me, you can change, it's just a title, no big deal, I can accept it. He puffed up his chest. When are you free today? Come to my place for dinner. Feng Qingxiu felt that it was a bit inappropriate to have a private conversation with Fang Ning here. I'll cook you some good food for dinner. Zhang Xiaoyu raised her hand immediately. After rehearsal in the afternoon, it will be free time. They came to Feng Qingxiu, just like Feng Qingxiu came to see rehearsals. Most of them were women, so there was no need to avoid it. Besides, Lu Zhang was not at home. If Lu Zhang was at home, that would be another matter. Nowadays, the protection between men and women is very important. Okay, I'll wait for you at home. The wild rabbit was hanging outside, but the internal organs were taken out and cleaned. In the evening, Feng Qingxiu quickly fried a plate of rabbit offal with the chili she brought, opened a box of lunch meat, and fried a plate of sourdough, spicy potato shreds and butter tea. Zhang Xiaoyu and Fang Ning came over with their own meals. Yang Fenying didn't come because she had something to do, and Zhang Xiaoyu let out a wow. It's so rich. Shredded potatoes are my favorite. Eat more if you like it, Feng Qingxiu said as she asked them to sit down. In fact, they were sitting cross-legged on the kong, surrounded by a small kong table. Lu Zhang felt that it was inconvenient for her to eat at home, so he asked his comrades to borrow it. As soon as he heard about the meal, Zibao crawled over and sat in front of the kong table, placing his two little paws on the edge of the table. Rice, he pointed to a small bowl of shredded potatoes without pepper. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 568. Zhang Xiaoyu is a child at heart. After dinner, she and Zibao played together, kneeling on the kong and catching pebbles. In fact, this is not the first time Zibao has seen such a game. After all, there are many games for children in Wanglu Brigade, but he is young and has forgotten them all a long time ago, so now that he sees Zhang Xiaoyu playing, his eyes follow Shi's ear. So naive. Feng Qingxiu gently pulled Fang Ning's sleeve, and the two of them went outside on the pretext of pouring out the dishwater. After telling Fang Ning about Jiao Desheng's request in a low voice, Feng Qingxiu said, I told you about this matter. It depends on what you want. If you agree, I will introduce you to meet. If you don't agree, I will ask him later. Don't bother me. Fang Ning was stunned for a moment and said softly, that letter was written by him. It contained these contents, which almost brought me disaster. If it weren't for you, Qingxiu, then I would have fallen into the same position as Jin Zuzu and the others. The same outcome. I still have lingering fears. It has only been a few days, and I have no time to think about lifelong events. Moreover, in the spring and summer, we will probably leave, or continue to perform condolences, start a family, and leave. I'm too far away. Feng Qingxiu nodded and said, since you said that, I will tell Comrade Jiao truthfully. However, Fang Ning, I don't know whether to say something or not. I'm afraid you won't be happy after hearing it and think I'm saying good things for Comrade Chiao. You said, there is nothing to worry about between us. The vast majority of soldiers across the country are single. For just a few days, the soldiers who ask me and Zibao's dad to help them find wives must have a platoon. Moreover, the country also attaches great importance to this issue. More than 10 years ago, the soldiers in the Northwest expressed their wishes. How many female soldiers, female high school students and good women have been recruited by the country? The art troupe is very popular in the military. Even if you don't want to get married, the military region will arrange a partner for you. It's not up to us to decide on age, appearance, and other things, as you can see, Bai Shui. Fang Ning listened and remained silent. Bai Shui, a young man in his prime, married an old man. Although he seemed to be in a good mood, only the person involved knew the inner feelings. As a young girl, if it were not for fame and fortune, who would want to live a married life where pear blossoms outweigh begonias? Fang Ning didn't want to do it anyway. She couldn't bear to marry an old man. Feng Qingxiu sighed, everything in the world is not up to people, Fang Ning. Instead of waiting until then for the army to arrange it, after all, we can't say we will not obey the army's orders. We don't have the guts, right? Why don't we find a revolutionary partner in advance, even if we don't have it for the time being? When we get married, we should get married first, and we should live openly and openly. Aren't the soldiers and their families separated? I want to join the army, but Zibao's father is still ambiguous. Comrade Chiao, he is his soldier, you sing your song. Song, no conflict. Let me think about it, and I'll get back to you in a few days. Fang Ning knew that Feng Qingxiu had good intentions and was not a sincere relationship. She would not analyze the behaviors in the army that even she could not understand to herself. Listen, since Bai Shui got married, there have been many private discussions in the regiment, worrying that the army will match us randomly. However, my sister-in-law can help Feng Ying find a suitable partner first. She feels that she is old enough, and is afraid that the army will directly match her with her. The premise of arranging the target is not to affect her performance on stage. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 569. After Feng Qingxiu conveyed Fang Ning's words to Chiao Desheng, she went to ask Yang Fenying what she wanted from her revolutionary comrades. The group of bachelor soldiers under Lu Zhang were eagerly waiting for the good news, but she was really too clever to make a living without rice. How could there be any woman in the army who could introduce them as a wife? There were only female soldiers from the art troupe in front of me. Therefore, knowing that Yang Fenying was interested in finding a partner, Feng Qingxiu refused to let go of this opportunity, which might lead to a marriage. Request. Yang Fenying thought for a while after practicing, and said calmly, because I am a member of the art troupe, I love the stage, I love opera, and I cannot stay in one place for a long time, just like this time I came from the capital. Just like here, there are still many fighters across the country who need our performances to relieve their mental stress, so I can't be a good wife. If she had to find a partner to escape the arrangements of the army, then she would want to find someone who would not affect her life. This person could be a soldier or a third-line worker. Living separately in the two places could give the other person the greatest freedom. For her, a life of gathering less and being apart is not a pain. Yang Fenying's only requirement for her future partner is that he be alone, without parents or elders, on the basis of integrity and appearance, so that he will not use the rights of his elders to interfere in the lives of the young couple. She has seen many women and the relationship between mother-in-law and mother-in-law was not harmonious, and her revolutionary feelings were greatly affected. As for the kids, just let it happen. She will naturally give birth to a child after marriage. Her parents have been living in the capital, her mother has retired, and the two elders only have one daughter. They can help take care of the child without affecting her and her partner's ability to serve the country. After listening to Fang Ning's words, Feng Qingxiu smiled and said, I don't know much about the situation of third-line workers and have never been in contact with them, but I heard that like most soldiers, they live separated from their families for a long time, and their meager wages are not enough spend time on the railway. I know a lot of soldiers. There are many single soldiers and many without parents. Their marriages are affected because they are stationed at the border for a long time and cannot go home. Sister Yang, what kind of people do you prefer? Type, just tell me. Because Feng Qingxiu's mother was Wang Fenying, it was inconvenient for her to call Yang Fenying by her name. Wouldn't calling her Fenying be the same as calling her deceased mother's name? Just call her Sister Yang. Anyway, Yang Fenying is indeed several years older than her. As Feng Qingxiu spoke, she told Yang Fenying what she knew about the soldiers. There are many officers and soldiers in the army, so naturally there are all kinds of talents. In terms of personality, there are mature and steady, gentle and elegant, rough and bold, lively and clever, you can find them all. What body shape do you have? Some are fat, some are thin, some are tall or short, you can find whatever you want. Yang Fenying was stunned by what Feng Qingxiu said. She thought seriously for a moment and said seriously, I am a relatively quiet person. I dare not have other hobbies except singing and studying. Those who are rough, bold, lively, and clever, are not within my consideration. You can introduce me to someone who is older and has a calmer temperament. Just not shorter than me. As for salary allowances and appearance, Yang Fenying has no requirements for the former. The latter has said before that it is good to have good appearance. If it is too ugly, it will affect the mood and it will be difficult to stay together for a lifetime. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 570. People in this era are very simple. They are not like those in the 21st century who require good looks, money, houses, cars, etc. People of this generation think very simply. Even women have never thought of relying entirely on men for their lives. Yang Fenying's request is really not excessive, and there are countless soldiers who meet the requirements. Han Ping, Sang Hong, Gao Yuzhu, and Wu Heng were not suitable. Feng Qingxiu thought of Lu Jiang's chief of staff Shang Kun. He was 1 year younger than Lu Jiang. He was calm and wise. He usually assisted Lu Jiang in commanding the soldiers under him in combat training and so on. Waiting, or collecting combat information, issuing combat orders and arranging combat missions, etc. He was capable of both literary and military skills, and Lu Jiang relied heavily on him. In terms of appearance, in this place, even a handsome man like Penin and Song Yu can turn into vicissitudes of life, so Shang Kun, who has regular features, can only be described as passable. The most important thing is that Shang Kun has a place in the records about Lu Jiang. As Lu Jiang has been promoted step by step, Shang Kun has always been his chief of staff. He used to be Lu Jiang's combat staff. The two have been fighting side by side since 10 years ago, and their relationship is not inferior to that of Zhao Yang. Feng Qingxiu also considered that Shang Kun's fiancée had not returned to her hometown since she regretted her marriage, and she and Lu Jiang were two old bachelors. Yang Fenying's marriage to Shang Kun will not affect other people's marriages. After listening to Feng Qingxiu's words, Shang Kun thought about Yang Fenying's beautiful singing voice and graceful figure on the stage. He pondered for a moment and said, Sister-in-law, I agree to this matter. If Comrade Yang Fenying likes me, I am willing to marry her. We have become revolutionary comrades. We live in different military districts, which does not affect her or me. It is good to avoid conflicts due to the separation of the small and the large. The fiancé he had chosen before going to the battlefield regretted marrying someone else because he couldn't go home for 3 years and was unwilling to delay her marriage. Shang Kun was not angry, but gave her his blessing. People like him are destined to spend most of their lives in the army. Both parties were interested and open-minded. Yang Fenying didn't care about the man's salary, and Shang Kun didn't care about whether the woman was beautiful. Feng Qingxiu asked them to report to each other separately, and then set a date to meet officially. The army management is so strict, it is better to follow formal procedures, which is better for everyone. Under the envy of Qiao Desheng, Gao Yizhu, and others, Shang Kun and Yang Fenying said hello to Zheng Suifeng and Captain Bai. Zheng Suifeng cheered loudly, "Okay, okay, this is a good thing. If you win the prize, you can help our army get rid of an old bachelor. All the soldiers who can join the army are upright and young, and there is no need to interrogate them. I am sure Shang Kun's lifelong event is also a worry for the army. There are countless such worries." Captain Bai did not stop Yang Fenying from marrying. He just felt that Yang Fenying was smarter than Bai Shui and had a better life. Choosing a revolutionary comrade like Shang Kun was far better than Bai Shui marrying a high-ranking cotter's son or Su Junlin. It was Feng Qingxiu's first time as a matchmaker, so she arranged the meeting place at her home. For this reason, she specially put Zibao's milk candies on a plate and placed them on the Kong table. She called to Shang Kun and Yang Fenying, who were sitting upright, "You guys eat candies, don't just sit there stupidly. I'll take Zibao to play with stones at the door." "You guys," the two of them talked alone. "Thank you, sister-in-law," Shang Kun said repeatedly. Yang Fenying said, "Comrade Qingxiu, let me hug Zibao. How embarrassing is it for two people to face each other? It would be much better to have a Zibao. Another chapter has been blocked, a tragedy."